Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Forton for Michigan Matters. This is September 10th, I believe. Yes, it is. It was going to be a very joyful show today, but I just want to point out that we just learned an hour or so ago about the incident with Charlie Kirk in Utah. All we know is that he is in intensive care, so we're not going to talk much about that other than ask you to pray for him and his family, pray for his recovery. A very smart young man with a family, and this garbage in America has got to stop. This Democrats' war on America has got to stop. There was that lady the other day in the bus or the subway, whatever it was. Is unbelievable. There's video all over the internet about that. We have a lot to say about that in the future, but right now we want to talk about the happy news that we had yesterday, and that is our 15 electors in Michigan. Their case has been nullified, I guess you'd say. I don't know the proper words, but our guest does. We have Kevin Kijewski here. He is running for Attorney General in Michigan. God knows we need an honest and effective Attorney General in Michigan. And yes, and these 15 aren't the only victims. Our president was a victim of the same thing. If government can go after someone because of their political beliefs and charge them with crimes that don't exist, or that they definitely did not do, force them to protect themselves, that's expensive, so on and so forth, it's traumatic, it's emotional, and it's got to be stopped. And we need an attorney general that's going to stop that sort of thing. And we don't want to see that happen to anybody. It doesn't matter who they are. So, Kevin, I'd like to get, I'd like to get the opinion of the gentleman to see what he thought of yesterday also. And I'm sure I'll have other questions after that. But Cliff, you were there. And how was it for you and Sharon?
Breathtaking. Thank you for having me, Mark. Nothing short of stunning. I had low expectations, and Judge Simmons knocked it out of the park. She was more than fair, and I believe she even quoted from some of the testimony and some of the paperwork submitted by Kevin and John, two of the defense attorneys, Kevin especially. And it's just, God is good, and it's just...
You know what does me good? What does me good is this judge was appointed by Whitmer. We have so many of these garbage judges out there, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I can't say nothing good about all of them. But this one seems to be an honest judge. We have an honest judge who probably has a more liberal mindset, and yet she did the right thing.
That's for certain. Kevin, would you comment, please, about the expertise that Judge Simmons lent to her opinion?
Well, I'm going to say that when it came to the judge, she went through transcripts of all the different court hearing days that we had. So just for context here, there were, again, 15 different electors being charged. You can't do them all at once. So what the judge did was to actually say, we're going to divvy it up into 3 different groups or cohorts or whatever. Cliff and yours truly, we were in the second cohort. That particular preliminary examination, that's what that process is called, it took 1 week, okay? 1 week, beginning of the day to the end of the day. So she had to go through 3 different sets of transcripts. We're talking about thousands of pages. And she didn't have to just read from what one attorney submitted, but what, frankly, 15 attorneys submitted. So she had to spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time thinking about this, synthesizing the information, and then coming forward with a ruling. And I don't know about her ideology, if she's left or right. I mean, frankly, you could take a look even at Governor Snyder with some of the appointees he had to the bench. And, somewhere on the right, somewhere on the left, some of them you still don't know. I really don't care about their ideology. The only thing I really care about is, are they going to follow the rule of law as articulated by state statute, by case law, in addition to the Michigan court rules and the Michigan rules of evidence? And she did that very well. As an aside to let you know about the judge too, I just found this out yesterday. She's actually a very, very good singer. And in fact, folks can take a look at Judge Simmons online. Apparently, I think when they were lighting up the Christmas tree in downtown Lansing, she actually performed. And I'm just like, wow, she's a skilled judge and she has a very, very beautiful voice. And I really am not a judge, and I'm certainly not a good singer, but she's a very talented woman.
That's fantastic. It's good to know. It's good to have a bright spot in our court system these days. It just seems like so often we have judges we just don't wonder about. And we just wonder about their rulings. Where the heck are they getting it? But anyway, getting back to the Attorney General position, there's a lot needs to be done in Michigan. Did you want to say what some of the major things you'd like to accomplish?
Yeah, so I mean, we can maybe just start here, and if you got follow-up questions, I'm happy to do any of that. So we actually have a big problem here in Michigan when it comes to the Department of Attorney General, because no one has confidence in that particular department. There are a lot of good people in there, but they actually lack the sound leadership to move it forward. So the reason why I'm running for Attorney General is to do three things. Number one, I want to make us safe again. I want to restore our security. Number two, I want to actually restore our constitutional rights. And third, I want to restore the faith that we all have, or we should all have, in our government in addition to our elections. So let me take a look at the very first thing, restoring our security. I'm going to give you two numbers. First number is 50. 50%. That is the increase in the number of FTEs, or basically employees, in the Attorney General's office ever since Dana Nessel took office back after she got elected, I should say, in 2018. So right now, it's technically the largest law firm in the entire state of Michigan. But you know what else? The second number is 10, or a little bit less than 10. That's the increase in murders from basically when she got elected to now. And we're not all that much safer. In fact, we're actually more in danger, even though there are more lawyers working there. But what is she doing with the lawyers that she has? She's deciding to actually, you know what? I'm going to go after Donald Trump, not 10 times, not 20 times, not 30 times, but 31 times. Might be up to 32 today. I don't know. And she's wasting precious resources on that. So as it relates to the very first, I would say, prong of my campaign, restoring security, how about we actually just prosecute real crimes instead of going after Cliff, going after Haggard, going after any of these electors, going after people because you don't like what their political opinion is. The second prong, taking a look at restoring constitutional rights, I'll just sort of give the highlights and then we could break it down if you want. But we have been under massive attack regarding our ability to speak freely, our ability to worship, our ability to actually have the freedom to assemble. I mean, everyone remembers COVID. I remember it vividly because at that time I was superintendent for the Archdiocese of Detroit. We had 30,000 students. We had essentially 3,000 employees and just under 90 schools. And she closed the schools. No parents like that. No teacher like that. And then she closed them not once, but she tried to do it twice. In 2020, the second time was November of 2020. She said that all the high schoolers are super spreaders. And you know what? I'm going to shut it down. And at the time, I was just like, I don't think so. You did it once. You're not doing it again. I don't think that the data and the science and, frankly, the experience on the ground supports that. So I sued her in federal court. In addition to being superintendent, I was also the vice chairman of MANS, the Michigan Association on Public Schools. And we challenged her. And you know what ended up happening? So the judge heard our arguments, and the judge said, I'm going to take this under advisement. Granted, not for 2 years, like when it came to Cliff Frost, or many months, trying to come up with a decision, but took a few days. And then hours before, when we're supposed to return to court to actually get the temporary restraining order that be issued against the governor, you know what ended up happening? The governor decided to have an impromptu press conference, walked up to the podium, hit the microphone and said, ladies and gentlemen, the science and the evidence has changed. Kids could go back to school. And it's just
She
like,
knew what the ruling
what
would
the
be.
heck are you talking about? And I'll tell you exactly what it is, and we all know. She didn't want to lose. She didn't want to lose face. She wanted to maintain her authority. So I'm going to tell you that when it comes to our ability to stop these lockdowns, I don't care who the governor is, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whomever. If
Yeah.
they do something that is just flagrant, so unconstitutional, I will sue the governor of the state of Michigan. You're not going to do that. Another thing regarding constitutional rights, I want to make sure that we have what? Not just open carry, but constitutional carry. I don't think that folks should have a CPL or should be required to have a CPL in order to protect themselves. Why? Well, the first murder in history was Cain and Abel. What did he kill him with? A rock. Then you had knives, you had swords, and then of course you got guns. And frankly, when it comes to a CPL, that's not going to be something that people are really thinking about at all when they're going to perhaps commit a crime. Criminals, they're just going to be criminals, right? They're mentally ill, they got issues. Why are we stopping hardworking men and women from protecting themselves and their families? So
Right.
what I would do regarding that is actually issue an attorney general opinion. And for your viewers out there who are like, what's an attorney general opinion? It's actually kind of like a written legal opinion from the attorney general's office that interprets the state constitution or other laws. And here's the beauty of it. That is binding on everyone in the executive branch, including the governor, until such time that perhaps it is going to be adjudicated in a different way by a court. So a lot of people don't know this. Open carry, we only have that not because of the governor, not because of any type of law, because an attorney general a long time ago, the eternal general, General Kelly, remember him? He actually said open carry is okay. Well, what has happened? We've had the Heller decision. We've had all these other decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court about the ability to keep your arms in your home in addition to on your person. So I'm going to update that. And then I could talk about a few other things later. But the third thing really quickly is restoring our trust in government and our constitutional rights. Here's the biggest thing that people need to know. Right now, people do not have faith in the integrity of our elections. And why? Because we saw not that long ago non-U.S. citizens voting in 2024. I don't even have to talk about 2020 right now, but look at the most recent election that we had. And what's happening with these folks? Well, first, we only know about him because the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, told who? A reporter, but said nothing about who these people really are or where they voted or what happened to them or how they even figured it out. How did these 15 people actually get caught, so to speak, in the voter tally? We have no idea. So one thing I will be doing as Attorney General, and once I'm elected, I'm going to take a look at the House Election Integrity Subcommittee, all the great work that they've done. I'll take that investigation work, and then we're going to adopt it in the Attorney General's department or office. We're going to continue on the investigation, and if we find wrongdoing, no matter how high or how low, we're going to actually take appropriate action, including but not limited to, I know I sound like I'm talking like a lawyer because I am, but we're going to lodge criminal charges. That will give people confidence. And the other thing I want to do too, in terms of our constitutional rights and restoring our faith in government, I ultimately, at the end of the day, while I'm running for Attorney General, I want people to know my name right now. My hope is that people are not going to be wondering what the Attorney General is doing or who that individual really is. You shouldn't have to worry about that. Like every day people are hearing about Dana Nessel this, Dana Nessel that. I don't mind, folks knowing who I am, but they shouldn't have to worry about the Attorney General doing some nonsense. So again, I want to restore our security. Second, I want to make sure that we're able to restore constitutional rights. And third, I want to make sure that we're able to restore your faith in our government, because the government is for the people. It's not for the government to tell the people what to do. It's the other way around.
So you take like Cliff and I, we're a little older than you and more experienced than you. But in reality, over the years watching news stories and about all these murders going on everywhere, And let's talk just briefly about this young lady that was butchered in that streetcar or whatever it was. This guy, the perpetrator, has been arrested, I forget how many times, numerous double-digit times, I think 14 or something, and released. And that's not the first time we've heard that. Over the years, isn't it true? I mean, you too. I mean, we've heard this kind of thing over the years that these people that commit murder have a long history of crime where they've been let off the hook and let off the hook. Is there anything a state attorney general can do to minimize that in a state with cities like Detroit or Grand Rapids or whatever, if you have people letting them loose all the time? Is there anything that an attorney general can do about that in a state?
Short answer is yes. But let's take a brief look at what happened over there in North Carolina. You had a young woman that was viciously attacked by a man, whether he had mental illness or not. And it wasn't with a gun, it was with a knife. Okay. So
Yes.
This guy has been arrested and gotten out so many times. The problem is we have a judicial system, and I think this is not just in North Carolina, it's everywhere, including here in Michigan. And I'll talk about a case right here in Oakland County that happened not that long ago, really within the past few weeks, where people get released on what we call PR, or personal recognizance bonds, when they are still a threat to the public. Let me talk about the case here in Oakland County. There's a man that got essentially no bond whatsoever in terms of like putting up any money, out free, even though he was accused, and there's significant evidence to show that he shot at his partner or his girlfriend or whatever else. I don't think that they were married, and their 2-year-old kid. Can you imagine that? How did I hear about this? When it came to our sheriff over here, Sheriff Bouchard, he spoke about it, and I'm like outraged. And who is the individual that's ultimately responsible for arguing that we're going to have appropriate bail? It's the prosecutor. Here in Oakland County, that's Karen McDonald. By the way, for a dangerous felony that has occurred, when you get arraigned, and that's the very first step after, the arrests and all those stuff, your first court appearance, you really should have a prosecutor there. There was no prosecutor there at all. No one from her office. And what I said to folks is we need to have, frankly, Karen McDonald file an emergency motion, hopefully get that bail increased significantly, or make sure that no bail is issued and put that guy back in the Oakland County Jail. Because it's absolutely dangerous and unacceptable to have people like that walking on the streets. But you know why that happens? Because Karen McDonald, in addition to Eli Sabat, they're 2 of the 3 Democratic possible nominees for Attorney General. They're George Soros-funded prosecutors. And you know what they do in order to take money? Hey, we're going to fund your campaign, but you got to sign a pledge. Not like a binding agreement, but you have to sign a pledge that you're going to try to reduce bail for folks as much as possible. And that's not the right approach. So going to your question, what can I do as Attorney General? Number one, if I take a look at any type of abuse of discretion, let's just take a look here at Oakland County. If that happened in Oakland County and Karen McDonald, or whoever the prosecutor is, I don't care about Karen, but if you've got a prosecutor that is not advocating for appropriate bail, the Attorney General, he or she, whoever, can actually swoop in and intervene in the case. We actually have law on that. It's a statute that says that if you have any case where it's, for example, the people of the state of Michigan versus whomever, if you got a local prosecutor that brings the case, the AG can intervene. And I would intervene. I would get my assistant attorney general in there. I'm like, you're going to Pontiac, you're going to Oakland County, and you're going to be doing what? You're going to be actually advocating that we're going to get this stuff changed to increase bail. And the other thing I would do too, and I spoke with several members of the legislature about this already, we need to have reforms regarding how we actually give judges discretion and guidance about setting bail. Because right now, we don't have anything other than, just do your best. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but that's effectively what it is. And you have judges that are making these, or magistrates as well, they're making these bail determinations on very little to no information. So we need to have reform in that area regarding how people assess and give bail. And then second, If there are still problems, then the AG needs to intervene. But ultimately, and we'll talk more about this later or at a different time, whatever you like, there's a big mental health problem across the country in addition to Michigan. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to actually get involved and actually stop this endemic that we have where everyone is suffering because someone has a mental illness and it's not being treated. So we have to take care of that. I think that's the root, not of every single problem, but a good number of problems and a good number of folks that enter the criminal justice system.
You use the term abuse of discretion. So that is an actual thing, I guess you'd say?
Yeah, so that's a standard. So if someone is going to be appealing, whether it's, for example, the prosecutor or the defense attorney, you want to get bail up or down or whatever else, you can appeal. And then the other judge that is going to be hearing the bail motion uses the standard of abuse of discretion. So they would have to take a look at the facts that are known to that judge at that time, because that judge has discretion. And then the person who's hearing the appeal is like, okay, do they abuse their discretion? Do they overlook some obvious things? I'm going to tell you what, North Carolina, we had that here 14 times. I don't care what they are. I don't care if we're talking about a few bad checks here or some violent felonies or misdemeanors, which he probably had. I don't know. That, to me, if you would still say, hey, you know what? You have a low bail amount or have a personal recognizance bond, that's absolutely ludicrous, and I wouldn't stand for it.
Thank you. Okay. So, Cliff, did you have any other questions or anything? Or
Just briefly, and first off, it's awesome. It's great that the Attorney General can step in. The Attorney General can step in the case of low bail and act instead of lack of local prosecutor, or even if they're there and insist on a higher bail. One other thing, if you don't mind me going a little bit off topic, I would just like to address all of the precinct delegates in the state of Michigan. Many of them I've met over the course of time with my time at conventions and through the trials that we just went. I'd like to just ask them to please consider endorsing Kevin for Attorney General.
Yes.
In my opinion, he's the person we need, and we need to back him. His services have been for all of the delegates, active and also the ones who were charged. And some of the things that I've learned about, he doesn't know that I know. He's done millions of dollars worth of services that he didn't even talk about charging for all of the delegates. So if people would just consider endorsing him, please do so. And if you have any qualms about it, give me a call and I'll be happy to discuss them privately.
It would seem to me, because Kevin, you mentioned all the hours that the judge put into studying the case, which is impressive, and it makes me really want to honor her for being a great judge. But all the hours all these attorneys put in, all the defense attorneys for all of these 15 people, I would imagine that over a 2-year period, in normal situations, we'd be talking about a huge amount of money. Wouldn't that be true?
That would be true.
And they've been found innocent. Isn't that wonderful? They're innocent. Something that any thinking person knows they're innocent from day one, and yet they had to prove their innocence by going broke, many of them probably. That law, that what they call it lawfare, like you advocating, must be stopped. We can't be dragging citizens through the muck like that.
We can't. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just said General Flynn went through the same thing, remember?
Yeah, he did, and so many others have. And Cliff is, a gentleman and very gracious. I wouldn't say it's millions of dollars, but I'll just say it's significant in terms of the time and other things. But it was my absolute honor and pleasure and privilege, I should say, to protect Cliff's rights in addition to the other electors. Why? Because it's not just about 16. It's really 10.5 million people roughly
Amen.
the population
It is.
here, I believe, here in Michigan. We need to protect all of our rights. And a lot of people, the highest number I've heard for the criminal case has been about $250,000 to $300,000 that one person paid their law firm. I didn't charge anywhere near that, and I know Cliff knows that, but and I'm not looking for anything. But
Well,
what I want to do is to say that when it comes to the lawfare, it needs to end. And we need to ensure that when it comes to criminal charges, you don't want to have to pay attorney fees after every single different exoneration or dismissal or whatever. Everyone who's a prosecutor needs to only bring forward charges if there is a comprehensive investigation and a legal good faith belief in the case. And in this case with Cliff, there wasn't one, because you had the Eastern District of Michigan U.S. Attorney, the Western District of Michigan U.S. Attorney. You also had the Ingham County prosecutor. So 3 different prosecutors turned down this case. And in fact, the Ingham County prosecutor wrote a memorandum of law and said, there's no crime. Yet alone, this attorney general decided to charge all 15, originally 16, then it got down to 15, but charged all these electors with 8 felonies apiece. Absolutely ludicrous. It's a bad faith prosecution. And it's so bad, I know we really didn't talk about it, but it's kind of a moot point now. I asked Cliff a while ago, do you want to go on offense? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you want to sue Dana Nessel? He's like, absolutely. So we actually have Frost v. Nessel, and we filed just recently, within the past month, a writ for certiorari, basically getting rid of all the nerd talk in Latin, asking the U.S. Supreme Court to take the case up. Because what did Dana Nessel do? Dana Nessel said to liberal donors in 2023 on a Zoom call that she decided to charge everyone in Ingham County because they're Democratic jurors and they're likely to convict. She also said that when it came to Cliff Frost and all these others, they were brainwashed. What? And I just was bewildered when I heard that. I also smiled a little bit, because fraud and forgery and any of these other crimes of deceit and dishonesty, they are specific intent crimes. So if she said, which she did, that Cliff and all these others are brainwashed and they truly believe that Trump won the election, if they had that belief, it's impossible for them to try to deceive. You would have to know that what you're doing is a lie. So she actually said it herself, her own words. It was reported on CNN. It was written in the Detroit News. We have to end all of this lawfare once and for all. And if elected Attorney General, I'll do my very best. Not necessarily, I know we're not going to do it. I'll make sure that even local county prosecutors don't do it. And if they do, and they step over the line, I'm going to get involved and intervene. We're not going to have any of these malicious, terrible, abusive process prosecutions any longer in the state of Michigan.
thank you, Kevin. Thanks for coming on today. We'll have to get together and do this again down the road a piece, okay?
Yes,
I'd love to
and
have you
if
back
I
on.
may
We can
just say
talk
really
about
quickly
other
as
things.
well, for all the folks that want to learn more about my campaign, you could go to kevinformi.com. You can also follow me on Twitter there, or X or whatever it's called now. You got the link over there on the homepage for the website. And then as well on the website, if people do want to endorse me, whether we're talking about hopefully, the electors, the other delegates, elected officials, if you go to my webpage, there's a button at the top that says endorse Kevin. You just have to put your name, a few other things, and then it gets logged, because I'm going to tell you, we got a lot of good support right now. You could take a look specifically at the 9th Congressional District, where we actually had all the gubernatorial candidates there. We had the AG candidates there. We had the SOS candidates there. We had everyone there. And I'll allow Cliff to maybe describe the results of the straw poll that they had. But when it came to the straw poll, what ended up happening, I think Cliff described it before as a landslide. I got about 85% of the vote. So I want to keep up this
It was
momentum
over
and
90.
keep Michigan going.
Don't be so humble. It was over 90.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it was 85.
92 to 16.
Yep. the 9th District's on fire. They're doing a great job with election integrity and everything. And Lori Skibo, the chair, is doing a fantastic job, along with O'Halloran and others, really doing a great job there.
They're good folks.
But anyway, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you so very much, and hope to see you soon. And the invitation is open to come back anytime, and we'll do more. I'm sure there'll be other issues to talk about. Okay.
And Cliff, thanks so much for joining Mark today. It's always good to see you. I know we saw each other a few different times yesterday, but you're a free man. And I'm happy that you have your rights and your life intact. And as well, you don't have to say anything here. I know that you were, anxious to get your firearm to protect yourself. So now that your CPL is restored, hopefully you could go see Clerk Forlini in Macomb, and he can restore that for you personally. I don't know if he's watching or not, but get working on that for Cliff so he can protect himself.
That'd be a
All right,
good
thank
idea.
you guys. It was great to be with you.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, Kevin.
So anyway, I just want to bring up a couple things. Again, we found out just before we taped this that Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah. All we know at this point is in critical condition. Thank God he's alive. Pray for him and his family, his young family.
He died.
You sure? We just found out that he passed. This shit's got to stop. I'm sick and tired of the communist takeover of the United States of America. They've been doing what they did to Cliff. They've been doing what they did to Trump. They've been doing to Americans all over. They're murdering Americans in all these cities like that poor Erika from Yugoslavia. I'm sorry. No, she was from Ukraine. Yeah. This stuff has got to stop. We have got to take these crummy communist Democrats out of power that are doing this to our country. They are advocating the violence. They are doing all this sort of thing. They're the ones behind every bit of it. They're behind the COVID vaccines. They're behind all the COVID murders in old folks' homes. I could go on forever, and I better stop right now because I'm so angry I can hardly control myself. This is terrible, what's going on here, and it must stop. It's got to come to a stop. The people of the United States have got to rise up and stand up. Every capital in this state should have 2 million people around the Capitol tomorrow morning telling these Republicans and Democrats that we want Trump's agenda taken care of. I think I mentioned in a past video, it was Laura Logan that put out a video, and she said quite clearly, if we fail to save this country, we'll know in a couple of years. And if we fail, it's the Republican Party that did it. Them deadbeats are in power, and they're doing nothing to support Trump. Nothing. We need his agenda codified. We need things stopped. We need investigations. The Democrats had nothing but investigations for 2 years that Trump had presidency. 2 years of investigations. What is Congress doing? What are they doing? Nothing. And we've got to start demanding these people to do something. At what point is the tipping point? Who has to die? Innocent young women that come here for safety from a war-torn country to get butchered in a doggone public situation? Or someone that's smart as a whip that can articulate things to college students, he's out there talking to them at a college and gets shot? How many people? The president, they tried to shoot him. What's going to happen next? What is going to happen next? When are we going to stand up and say enough's enough? Because our freedoms are on the line. This is the only nation in the world that says your rights and mine, your rights and mine are guaranteed by our Creator, that we got them from our Creator, unalienable rights. And the job of government is to protect those rights. And this government, run by the Communist Party, because I don't care if the Republicans have a majority in the House and Senate, the Democrats still run it. They're able to stop Trump's agenda, even though they're a minority. And this stuff has got to stop. The Republicans got to pull up their pants and be big boys and big girls and stop this stuff right now. We got to call these people, tell them enough is enough. But anyway, I want to say more, but I better stop. I will be saying more, no doubt about it. But anyway, there's a couple things you're going to know too. that the Upper Peninsula is under attack. The Porcupine Mountains, they want to put in a copper mine by a Canadian company that's never mined. They don't know what the hell they're doing. So go to protecttheporkies.com, protecttheporkies.com, and get information on that, because the Michigan House, majority of Republicans, of which for once we have some good Republicans there, but in their budget, they put $50 million for this damn mine up on the border of the Porcupine Mountains and right on the shore of Lake Superior. We're supposed to be environmentalists, right? We're all going crazy over the environment. Well, I'm hoping the Democrat Senate will stand for the environment and strip that out of the bill, because that's got to stop. They say there's laws to protect how they do it. Oh, really? Who obeys the laws? Only us Americans that believe in the law obey the laws. Otherwise, the criminal does what they want. They're let out left and right until they commit murder, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, protect the Porkies. Find out about that. Call your senators and tell them that they work for you. Tell them, be polite, but tell them, say, look we want to end this doggone mine by an organization that's never mined. So anyway, there's a couple events coming up that we'll put up on the screen. Unity Night, September 25th. Our Fall Festival is very important on September 26th. Sandy Bauer, Vets Returning Home, they have an event this Saturday in September 13th in Elmont, Michigan. And you can find that on our website also. Please go there. I think it's a free event, touring their new facility, things like that. She takes no federal money or state money, and she houses homeless vets. Does a marvelous job. Anyway, I want to thank Cliff for being here. He's a good friend, and I thank him for being here. And next time, maybe we'll participate more. I don't know.
It's an honor to join you. That's for sure.
But anyway, I want to thank you for watching. Pray for Charlie Kirk's family, will you? Pray for America. I pray for the downfall of the corrupt anti-God Democrat Party and the complete downfall of these people, these murderous dogs that are tearing our country apart. And God bless all of you. Bye-bye.